A crater is usually formed or caused by an asteroid impact, leaving a huge hole in the ground. It looks beautiful, but if you think about it, it's a nightmare from the past experienced by ancient beings. And in this video, we will look at and discuss the 12 craters in the world. But before that, please like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to us content creators. Thank you. And now let's get started. Number 12. Pingualuit Crater, Canada. If you look at it from the sky, it looks like there's a perfectly round hole in the middle of the vast tundra in the northern part of Quebec, Canada. This is the Pingualuit Crater, a beautiful example of the damage caused by a meteorite impact on Earth, like a wound carved by space itself. It is estimated that more than 1.4 million years have passed since a massive meteorite crashed here. The impact was strong enough to create a crater almost 3.5 kilometers wide. Because of the remoteness of the area and the cold climate, it has barely been touched by time. That's why even today you can still clearly see the original shape of the crater, from the raised rim to the debris from the explosion. At its center is a lake, Lake Pingualuit, known throughout North America as one of the clearest freshwater lakes. No river flows in or out. The water here comes only from rain and melted snow. The depth reaches almost 267 meters, and the visibility is over 115 feet clear. The word Pingualuit comes from the Inuit language, which means where the land rises. It really does rise because it elevates almost 160 meters above the surrounding land. In the 1950s, scientists discovered that this crater was not formed by a volcano, but by a meteorite, based on rocks found with signs of a strong impact. In 2007, it was declared a National Park of Quebec and is now co-managed with the Inuit community. Besides its beauty, another treasure of the place is the lake's bottom sediments. It's like a time capsule that records climate changes in the Arctic over the past thousands of years. Even though it's quiet and isolated like other craters, Pingualuit is a frozen moment of cosmic violence, a preserved trace of a collision from the sky. Number 11. Loner Crater, India. In India, there is a lake that has long been believed to be mysterious. It has unusual color, salty water, and circular walls resembling a natural fortress. This is Loner Crater in Maharashtra, but this is not an ordinary lake. A massive outer space collision formed it. It is estimated that a high-velocity meteorite crashed into this area more than 570,000 years ago. It struck the surface of a region full of lava rock known as the Deccan Traps, one of the largest volcanic formations in the world. The result of the impact was a crater with a diameter of 1.8 kilometers and a depth of almost 492 feet. Because of the force of the impact, unique meteorites were formed. These can only be found in places that experienced extremely high pressure and heat. This is proof that it is indeed an impact site. The locals have known about this for a long time, but the scientific identification of Loner's origin only began in 1823 when it was documented by a British officer named J. Alexander. Since then, geologists have surveyed it using satellite imaging, ground radar, and sediment sampling. Today, the former crater is filled with an alkaline and salty lake, Loner Lake, which has its own ecosystem. Despite the chemical composition, there are microbes and animals that adapt and survive here. In 2020, the place suddenly went viral after the lake changed color from green to pink. According to experts, this may be due to the high salinity and the bloom of microbes. It's a rare phenomenon that caught a lot of attention. Aside from science, there is also a deep history surrounding Loner Crater. Many ancient Hindu temples surround it, some over 1,000 years old. Today, it is a protected heritage site of India and continues to be studied by scientists from different countries. A place where the story of the planet, science, religion, and natural change meet, all in a single circular mark of the sky. Number 10, Kara Crater, Russia. In the middle of the icy Arctic in the northern part of Russia, There is a giant crater that has long been covered by ice and time, the Kara crater. Although it is partially submerged and covered by thick sediments and ice, it is still one of the largest confirmed meteorite impact sites in the world. This crater's original diameter is estimated at 65 to 120 kilometers. Imagine that. It's almost as wide as the entire Metro Manila, but circular and carved into the ground. The collision that caused this happened during the time of the dinosaurs. It occurred about 70 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period. The force of the impact was like detonating millions of megatons of trinitrotoluene. It was enough to change the entire climate of the region, if not the whole planet. The crater was first noticed in the 1970s. Using aerial surveys and remote sensing, scientists found another smaller crater nearby, Capsule, which they previously thought was a separate impact. But in recent studies, it appears that this might also be part of a larger Kara crater that could have come from a fragmented meteorite. Because the whole structure is barely visible on the surface, geologists use gravity and magnetic anomaly mapping to determine its shape and size. They saw signs of central uplift, ring faults, and other indicators of a massive complex crater. They also obtained rock samples that show shocked quartz and rocks melted by the impact. Clear evidence that this was not caused by a volcano but by a celestial explosion from the sky. Because it's in the Arctic, access here is limited. Usually expeditions can only reach it during the summer. But even so, planetary geologists continue to study it because it provides very important information about the history of impacts on Earth. The Kara crater is a reminder that even the biggest scars on the planet can be covered by time. But the story carved from the sky will never disappear. Number 9, Manicouagan Crater, Canada. In the middle of Quebec, Canada, you can find one of the most well-preserved and largest, the most famous crater in the world, the Manicouagan Crater. From above, it looks like a massive ring of water, but behind such beauty lies a past filled with violence from space. The crater originally had an estimated diameter of 100 kilometers, but now only about 43 miles of the visible rim remain due to erosion. It was formed over 214 million years ago during the late Triassic period, a time when the first dinosaurs were just beginning to thrive. What struck the Earth was an asteroid or comet with a diameter of almost 5 kilometers. It was so big and fast that it caused a massive explosion, literally carving a very deep crater into the Earth's crust. The central part of the crater rose back up due to the rebound from the impact, and around it, the circular Manicouagan Reservoir was formed, which was created in the 1960s after a hydroelectric dam was built. So now, it's not just a crater, it's also part of Quebec's vast renewable energy network. The crater is classified as a complex crater, which means it has a ring basin and a central uplift, a type of structure that can also be found on other planets like Mars and the Moon. There were some scientific theories before that said it was connected to a mass extinction event or that it was part of a global event. It's a cluster. But according to most modern studies, this was just an isolated event. It's big, yes, but not directly responsible for global extinction. Now, beyond its scientific importance, the Manicouagan Reservoir is also a key energy source in Canada. And because its geological features are still very clear, it is used as a model for studying craters on other planets. The place is easy to access. You can reach it by road, boat, or plane, but it remains quiet and almost uninhabited around the area. It's a perfect place for science and for those who want to witness how the heavens change the face of the Earth. Number 8, Chicxulub Crater, Mexico. Beneath the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico lies one of the most significant scars left by space on our planet, the Chicxulub Crater. It's not just huge, it's also believed to be the reason for the extinction of the dinosaurs on Earth. More than 66 million years ago, an asteroid or comet measuring 10 to 15 kilometers wide crashed here. The impact was so powerful, enough to create a crater with a diameter of almost 180 kilometers. But because of millions of years of erosion and sediment buildup, you can no longer see the crater on the surface today. But underneath the perfectly circular mark of the impact is still there. In 1982, scientists Luis and Walter Alvarez noticed that all over the world there is a thin layer of soil with a high level of iridium, a rare element usually found in asteroids. And this layer, now known as the Keg boundary, matches exactly with the time of the Chicxulub impact, as confirmed in the following decades using gravity mapping, magnetic data, and deep drilling. Experts confirmed that there is a massive impact crater beneath the Yucatan. Core samples from the site contain shocked quartz, melted rock, and other evidence indicating a high-energy collision. Chicxulub is called the Pickering crater, a type of large crater with a central ring of rocks that rose due to the force of the impact. This is a rare opportunity to study how large objects impact planets and how this affects the climate and life. Today, even though it is buried underground, Chicxulub has become an inspiration for multidisciplinary research. From geology, planetary science to biology, everyone wants to learn how an era began and ended through a collision from the sky. Number 7. Vredefort Crater, South Africa. If there is a king of all impact craters in the world, without a doubt, it is the Vredefort Crater in South Africa. This is the planet's largest confirmed impact structure. Its original diameter is estimated at 250 to 300 kilometers. Imagine, it's almost twice the size of the Chicxulub crater. It was formed more than 2 billion years ago during the Paleoproterozoic era. That's why it's also one of the oldest craters known to us. The asteroid that struck here is estimated to have a diameter of no less than 10 kilometers. The impact wiped out surface rocks, penetrated the lower crust, and formed a multi-ring basin, like a crater on the Moon or Mars, but on Earth. Now all that remains is the Vredefort Dome, the central part of the crater that is now clearly visible on the ground, and is made up of rocks that are millions of years old. This includes granite and greenstone belts that are over 3 billion years old, among the oldest exposed rocks in the entire world. Another surprising fact is that near the crater site lies the Witwatersrand Basin, where almost all of South Africa's gold reserves are found. According to experts, although the gold was already there before, the impact event may have affected the accumulation and formation of ore in the area. Now, scientists are using satellite imaging, modeling, and fieldwork to reconstruct the original appearance of the crater. This is an important key to understanding how large objects hit the Earth and how they change the overall structure of the Earth itself. Number 6. Goss's Bluff, Tanarala, Australia. In the middle of the dry and remote part of central Australia, there is a strange circular formation. It seems to have risen from the ground. This is Goss's Bluff, also called Tanarala, by the indigenous Western Arrernte people. Now, this circle measures 5 kilometers in diameter and rises about 180 meters above the plain. But geologists say it was once much larger. Its original size was almost 22 kilometers before erosion ate away the outer parts. The impact that created this happened approximately 100 to 242 million years ago during the early Cretaceous period. What struck was an asteroid or comet, about 1 kilometer in size. And its impact created what is called the central uplift, a circular rise in the middle of the crater that forms the wall we see today. In the 1960s, scientists identified that this could possibly be an impact crater, and since then, it has been recognized as one of the most well-preserved crater structures in the world. Shatter cones and shocked quartz were found here, both clear evidence of a meteorite impact. Beyond science, Tanarala holds deep cultural significance for Aboriginal people. According to their Dreamtime stories, there was a group of celestial women who danced in the sky. One of them placed a baby in a basket that fell to the ground, and that's where the round mountain was formed. For them, this place is sacred. Now, the Tanarala is inside a conservation reserve. There are viewing platforms and interpretive signs here, but there are access limitations because it is protected by indigenous custodians. Goss's Bluff is proof that even formations from intense impacts can blend into history, culture, and nature. A living example of how space changes the face of our world. Number 5, Clearwater Lakes Craters, Canada. In the northern part of Quebec in Canada, there are 2 large lakes that look like mirrors of water, perfectly round and seemingly man-made. But the truth is, their beauty comes from one of the most powerful forces in nature, a collision from space. These are the Clearwater Lakes, made up of 2 separate but adjacent impact craters, Clearwater Lake East and Clearwater Lake West. At first glance, it looks like they were formed at the same time, but according to science, there is almost a 200 million year gap between their creation. Clearwater West is older, larger, nearly 22 miles wide, and formed over 290 million years ago. Clearwater East, on the other hand, measures 16 miles and is estimated to have formed 460 to 470 million years ago. At first, there were theories that the 2 craters were caused by a binary asteroid impact, where 2 asteroids stuck together hit the Earth at the same time. But using radiometric dating, it was proven that they were really formed at different times. Clearwater West shows the characteristics of a complex crater. It has a central uplift, ring structure, and a circular shape. Meanwhile, Clearwater East is now shallower because it has experienced more intense erosion. Both of them are embedded in the Canadian Shield, an ancient region of hard Precambrian rocks. Because of the extreme heat and pressure of the impact, these rocks melted and cracked, and this has been proven through drill core samples. Even though the place is hard to reach, planetary geologists have been studying it for a long time, especially in the mid-20th century. National Aeronautics and Space Administration even use this to understand crater formation on other planets. Besides science, this area is also part of the ancestral lands of the Cree and other indigenous groups. The lakes are sources of fresh water and home to fish and animals, even though conservation efforts are being implemented to protect them. And if you look at satellite images, it's a perfectly round lake. There's even a central island, like the eye of nature, that's always looking up at the sky where it came from. Number 4, Wolf Creek Crater, Australia. In the middle of the Great Sandy Desert in Western Australia, there's a mysterious circle. It's as if it was scooped out by a giant spoon. It's not just an unusual sight, but also one of the best preserved craters in the world. This is the Wolf Creek Crater, which is also called Candamalal by the Aboriginal peoples. It measures 875 meters wide and is almost 60 meters deep. According to scientists, it was formed about 300,000 years ago, after a 15-meter iron meteorite crashed down. The impact released energy of almost 1 to 2 megatons of trinitrotoluene, enough to punch a hole in the earth and melt the meteorite itself. The indigenous people in the area have long known about this, with stories about a fire from the sky. The story of the rainbow serpent, a powerful being in their Dreamtime stories, is said to have burst from the ground at the very site of the crater. Although it was officially discovered by scientists in 1947, it has long been a part of Aboriginal culture. Inside the crater and around it, fragments of metallic iron with high nickel content were found, which is typical of meteorites. The crater's dry climate and remote location have largely prevented erosion. The visible raised rim and radial ejecta make it ideal for geological studies. Now that this is part of Wolf Creek Meteorite Crater National Park, there are trails and viewing sites for those who want to see it up close. But there is respect for its sacred meaning to the indigenous people. This is one of the few craters where you can actually walk along the rim, a reminder of how powerful the forces of space are and how they have shaped the face of our world. Number 3, Papagaï Crater, Russia. In a cold, vast, and almost impassable part of Siberia, there lies a massive crater that is rarely visited by people. But don't be mistaken. The Papagaï Crater is not just a big hole in the ground. It's one of the most sensational craters in the whole world. Because of something you wouldn't expect, diamonds. It has a diameter of 100 kilometers and was formed about 35 million years ago, after an asteroid measuring 5 to 8 kilometers hit. But what's unusual about this impact is that it hit an area with graphite-rich rock, and because of the intense heat and pressure, those rocks turned into diamonds. Yes, you heard that right. The Papagaï Crater is literally a mine of impact diamonds. Small diamonds, usually 0.5 millimeter to 2 millimeters, with some imperfections, but they're real and genuine. In some cases, even larger ones have been unearthed. Soviet scientists confirmed its impact origin in the 1970s. Although there were industrial interests in the area during the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics era, it was never fully developed because it was extremely remote. It's only about 300 kilometers from the Arctic Ocean. You can see the typical signs of a complex impact structure in the crater. There's a central uplift, a multi-ring basin, breccia, and melt rock deposits. For geologists, it's like a book open to a page about extreme high-pressure geology. Even though there's no clear evidence that this impact caused a global extinction, many believe it triggered intense wildfires, climate changes, and region-wide disruptions. Now, experts are revisiting it, not just because of the diamonds, but also to study the effects of this kind of impact on the Earth's structure and composition. The Papagaï is a gigantic reminder of violence from space, and a unique view of how, from destruction, gold, or in this case, diamonds, can emerge. Number 2, Meteor Crater, Barringer Crater, Arizona, United States of America. In the middle of the Arizona desert near the town of Winslow, there is a seemingly simple hole in the ground that looks like it was left by a powerful explosion. But this crater, now known as Meteor Crater or Barringer Crater, is one of the most famous meteorite impact sites in the world. Although small compared to others on this list, it is very impressive. It has a diameter of 1.2 kilometers, a depth of 170 meters, and its rim rises 45 meters above the plain. The one that created it was a nickel-iron meteorite about 50 meters in size, which crashed into the Earth more than 50,000 years ago. With the force of the impact, it is estimated to have released energy equivalent to 10 megatons of trinitrotoluene, almost 600 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. With its speed upon impact ranging from 26,000 to 45,000 miles per hour, it literally shattered and vaporized millions of tons of rock. The crater was named after Daniel Barringer, a mining engineer in the early 20th century, who was the first to claim that it was caused by a meteorite, not a volcano. He spent a lot on excavation, hoping to find a huge piece of iron beneath the plain. Although he didn't find the core he sought, science confirmed his suspicion. Around the crater, pieces of what are called Canyon Diablo meteorites are scattered, metal fragments made of iron and nickel. Some of these are now on display at the visitor center at the site itself. At present, the meteor crater is still owned by the Barringer family and managed by the Barringer Crater Company. It is now a national natural landmark, and it's a popular destination for tourists, students, and scientists. This is the first crater studied by those who study planetary science, and it remains an important key to understanding high-velocity impact events. A small but powerful reminder of how brutal and awe-inspiring the forces of the heavens can be. Jamanshin Crater, Kazakhstan is number 1. And here we are at number 1, the Jamanshin Crater in Kazakhstan. This isn't the largest, but it's one of the youngest, most actively studied, and it may have an impact on the climate of the entire region. It's in western Kazakhstan. The Jamanshin crater has a diameter of 14 kilometers and was formed approximately 900,000 years ago. It is estimated that a stony asteroid several hundred meters wide crashed here. It created a complex crater with a multi-ring structure and a central uplift. This crater is important to scientists because its geological details are still preserved. It has a clear rim, the soil layers are still intact, and there are impact-related minerals such as shocked quartz, impact glass, and tektites, broken pieces of rock that melted and were scattered due to the impact. These are known in the area as ergesites. They are unique to this region, and they are being studied to understand the energy and effects of the collision. There are theories that this impact was not enough to cause a global extinction, but it most likely changed the climate throughout the region by releasing dust and chemicals into the atmosphere. It is possible that this caused a temporary cooling or what is called regional climate disruption. The crater isn't visible from the ground because the area is flat and covered by sediment. But using satellite imaging and remote sensing, its shape and effects are still clearly visible. Because it's relatively new with clear geological features, geologists and planetary scientists still visit it. It's a perfect laboratory for studying how mid-sized asteroid impacts affect the climate and environment. The Jamanshin crater is a reminder that an impact doesn't have to be extremely large to create a deep and long-lasting effect on the world.